Hi, I'm Melanie Chitwood, and I'm so excited to be talking to my ministry partner today. Amy and I have a ministry for writers and speakers called Next Step Coaching Services, where I'm the writing coach and Amy's the speaking coach. And Amy has taught me so much over our years of knowing each other. And I'm excited to tell you about her new resource. I got it right here.
Oh, the cover is so pretty. Thank you, Shannon.
Yes, it is. How to write a meaningful message, workbook with tools to create an inspirational message. So this is an 85-page workbook. So it's very rich with information that will help speakers of any kind and at any level. And I wanted to say of any kind because of our situation now. Many speakers have been trying different avenues for their speaking. So whether this is for a keynote, something you're doing online, like a workshop or a teaching, even a podcast, this workbook is going to be very, very helpful to you. And it's also a workbook that will be helpful for whatever stage you're in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let me just say, welcome, Amy Carroll.
Thank you so much. This is fun. We're real life friends as well as business partners. And so it's always a treat, even though we're miles apart.
Yes, not too many miles. I'm in Charlotte and Amy's in the Raleigh area. So let's just get talking about the workbook. Amy, I know that you've said that you have a certain philosophy about becoming a speaker. So tell us about that.
Well, everybody remembers the old Seinfeld shtick about the two top fears are dying and public speaking. And public speaking is number one and dying is number two. So he always laughs and says, so people would rather be in the coffin than delivering the eulogy. And so, I think all of us, even if we've been speaking for a long time, I still get nervous. And so, but I really do believe that everyone can become a good speaker. I think even if you think you have no natural talent, that you can become a good speaker if you learn some tricks of the trade, some communication skills. And that's what we put in this workbook. And I think if you have a little natural talent, God-given talent, you can become a great speaker if you implement some of these tools of communication. And it's, Melanie, I think it's so funny because writing, I think, is something everybody understands. You kind of have to work at writing. But since we talk so often and so naturally, people don't see speaking as a craft, I think, as much as writing, but it is. And you can, just like you can learn to be a better writer, you can learn to be a better speaker.
I really like that. Amy and I are good to talk about speaking together because we have very different views of speaking. We met many years ago when we were both serving with Proverbs 31 Ministries. Now, Amy still serves with Proverbs 31 Ministries as both a speaker and a writer. I served as a writer with Proverbs 31, but a very reluctant speaker. And one of the reasons I was so reluctant, I really didn't like it at all. But I just didn't know how to be a speaker. I knew that I had a message, but I had no idea how to put it together. And I'm not exaggerating when I say if I had had this workbook, this tool, with 9 tools to create a meaningful message, I would have had confidence and I would have been able to enjoy the journey. And so at Next Step, that's one of the things Amy and I are working on, is creating resources that we wish we'd had when we began. And Amy is a fantastic speaker. She has just a magnetic personality, but being a good speaker is so much more than that. So I'll just ask you, Amy, even though you did love speaking way back when you began, tell me about what kind of tools you had when you first began as a speaker.
Well, when I first started, I was just like you. I had nothing. I mean, except that I had sat in church on Sundays my whole life. And so we've heard a lot of speaking, both good and bad. And so, I had that as a tool. But other than that, I came into the speaking world and started being asked to speak, having that little bit of natural God given talent, but not really any tools. And so there are lots of great tools around. I mean, we always talk about Andy Stanley's book, Communicating
Yes.
for Change. Love that. That was ministry changing for me. I think every speaker and writer should go to speaker and writers conferences. They are a fantastic tool. But one of the things that Melanie and I have always felt is very important is to give resources in a variety of price ranges. So we blog every week for free. And so you can do lots of keyword searches and find lots of great information on the Next Step Coaching Services blog. But then this workbook is kind of the next step up. Melanie has one and now I have one, and we're going to work on some more. And these are very affordable ways to start honing your speaking skills.
Yes, totally agree. And it's only $14.99 for an 85-page book that you will return to again and again. And one of the things I thought about before talking today, Amy, is when I was speaking, it was in the midst of crazy life where I had just a lot going on, and I felt like I never really gave the time I needed to crafting a message that I felt very good about. So I hope that our listeners and readers will get this workbook and really spend time crafting a message that you can give over and over again, hopefully, and feel really good about it. One of the things I love about Amy is that she believes a good message is not one where everybody tells you, "Great job, Amy, that was so good." We love to hear that praise, but Amy, I know you remember that scenario that you shared in the workbook about the feedback that you're looking for. Will you share
Yeah.
that?
I mean, at the beginning, any little compliment is awesome,
Right.
but after a while, it's really just not enough. I mean, the thing that keeps me packing my bags, although it's COVID now, nobody's packing bags, but
Okay.
we will someday again, packing my bags, getting on a plane, going someplace away from home, because I like being home. The only thing that makes it worth it for me is to watch God change people, and to let him use me to do that. And so the compliments that I'm looking for at the end aren't like, "Oh, you're so great." It's, "When I heard you say this, I realized I needed to do that." So I'm hearing things where people are internalizing something that they will take home and let mess with them in the best possible way, and begin to transform their life. That's what makes it worth it. And so that's why we have to have application in all of our messages.
Right. In a nutshell, not that this is my nutshell of your book. Number one, it gives a speaker confidence. Number two, the way you instruct speakers to craft their message using these 9 tools starts with scripture, which is very different from what a lot of other speakers teach. And so, following the 9 tools in this workbook, a speaker can be assured that your message is going to make God the hero, as Amy says. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, starting with scripture?
That's been transforming for me. I think it's done 2 things. The first thing that it does when I start with scripture is that it forces me to listen to God before I record my own words. And that means that my messages, I believe, today are closer to truth
Hmm.
than before, when I wasn't starting with scripture. I was kind of starting with a story or a song or an idea. That it really, I believe that I'm closer to truth. I'm I'm not arrogant enough to say it's absolute truth, because I'm sure there's some error in there, but it is my heart's desire to fulfill the responsibility of handling God's word really well. So I think that we start with God's word. The second thing that has been a surprise to me is I believe that it has really changed the tone of my speaking. We all like to speak from places where we're experts. The truth is, though, is that most of our messages that really connect with people is where we're vulnerable, is where we have flaws and mess ups, and we share that. And when I start with God's word, I automatically make myself a learner instead of an expert. I believe that's changed the tone in the way that I communicate. So instead of communicating to people like, I've got this all together and here, let me hand it to you, it's, hey, I've been learning this from God. Let me share it with you. And it just, it's a much more humble tone that I think people can receive a lot better.
Mm-hmm. It's a very authentic way to speak into people's lives. And I was going through something recently that's very difficult. I'm still going through it. And I immediately sought out my friend who I knew had gone through the same thing. So when you're in pain or when you're feeling challenged to deal with something with God, you want to speak to somebody who's been there and done that. So the way that Amy teaches in this workbook is to invite her audience members along with her on, I'm learning this, so I'm not preaching at you. I'm not going to tell you everything I know. I'm going to invite you alongside me, and we're going to share this journey together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you hope and encouragement, but we're going to learn this together.
Yes.
So I love that. I really love, and I'm not exaggerating, no matter where you are in your speaking journey, the tools that you need are really condensed in this one workbook. You've had, 17 years of speaking, Amy?
Yes, it's amazing. That's long.
And how many years of speaking coaching?
I think 9 now. So yeah.
10, yeah. So tell me about your speaker coaching and how that affects what you put in this workbook.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I've learned so much coaching over the years, not only about how to teach better, because you're a teacher too, Melanie. So you know that we teachers, it's a craft as well. And so you get better as you go along. But I've learned so much from my clients over the years. In fact, I've got several things in the workbook, and I give credit where credit's due, that I'll say, one of my clients that was in Toastmasters taught me this, and so it really has been reciprocal. And that's the beauty of coaching. I think I always joke when I talk to people that I am waiting for somebody to say that they love Next Step coaching services because Amy Carroll's a genius. But nobody has said that to me yet.
I'll say it.
But what they do say is that they love coaching because 2 heads are always better than 1. There's something about the collaborative nature of coaching that is so powerful. Mm-hmm. And number 2, it is so hard for us to meet our own deadlines. And so coaching provides accountability that most of us cannot really provide for ourselves.
Yes. So I would encourage listeners to get the workbook, go through the 9 tools of crafting a message, and then hire you as a speaker, because then when they come into the speaker coaching, they're more, I guess, ready to be coached. Their coaching time is really going to be maximized. So
I think that's true. And we offer all kinds of things. So one of the things that you could do is write a message with this, and then just let me evaluate it and give you feedback and give you ideas and stuff. And that is so intimidating. So I want to speak to that for just a second, because I had somebody say, oh my goodness, I'd be scared to death to have you evaluate me. That's so intimidating. Well, I feel the same way whenever somebody evaluates me. So what I always tell people is that I'm a cheerleader at heart, and I'm an encourager at heart, and so I will critique because that's what you're paying me for. You'd feel like you got nothing if I didn't give you any suggestions or ideas, but I will do it as an encourager. I promise you'll walk away feeling encouraged. And Melanie, you just said something that I want to just touch on real quick. So I had a question yesterday on the blog, a commenter who asked, is this the same as your creating, I think it was creating a message that counts, right? So anyway, Melanie and I had worked on a project. Yes, the e-guides. There is overlap, definite overlap. This is just more expanded. We expanded it some. It's expanded in the form of the worksheets the most. Like there are questions for you to get you started on each section, on each tool, space for you to work in the workbook, and and so there is overlap. We want to be transparent about that. Just like if you coach with me, you'll hear some of the same things, but repetition's good. That's how it helps us to learn. And Melanie is the one that put together the format of this book, and y'all, it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
It was fun.
So, and it's edited and expanded some. So anyway, I just wanted to answer that question for people. Some people may decide, no, I've got the ebook, the e-guides, I'm good. But some of you will really love this format.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. The e-guides were put out a little bit ago, and it's new and improved.
It's updated.
I love the idea of having I love paper books. And I just love that writers and speakers can just develop a very affordable library of resources that you can return to again and again. So I'm very proud of my friend, and I'm excited for our listeners to have this resource. And I'll just mention it again: How to Write a Meaningful Message Workbook with Tools to Create an Inspirational Message. It's only $14.99, and you can get it at our website, nextstepcoachingservices.com, and it's also available at Amazon. So thank you, friend.
Well, thank you. This has been fun, and it sure is easier to have somebody else talk about your stuff than to talk about it yourself. So
I know. And it's easy to toot your horn. So we'll do it again.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.